and we'll get started. Take it away, Shannon. Thank you.
Sure. Working on sharing my screen now. Let me know if you can all see the first slide.
Looks good.
Perfect. So with that, gonna get started on this LinkedIn training, give a quick overview, kind of go over why LinkedIn, why you should be using it for your personal self and also supporting your business. Little tips on navigating the platform, then going into optimizing your profile, what you should be looking for, what you should be updating on a frequent basis, or at least, quarter, yearly, how to engage on LinkedIn, and then posting on LinkedIn. And then, as Rob said, we'll kind of follow up with a Q&A at the end. I'm Shannon. I've been working at Vault for almost a year and a half now on their digital team, helping our clients with their social media and digital presence, primarily on the paid side, but we do provide strategy on how, businesses can kind of improve their organic and paid strategies. So jumping into LinkedIn. So why LinkedIn? Why is it important if you're not already on it now, why should you start? There is over, almost 1 billion users at 75 million users worldwide. Over 300 million are monthly active users. And it's just a great way for people to strengthen their professional network, a great way to connect with people you either worked with in the past, connect with people that you've been meeting at conferences, presentations, and just a way to build up your network within your organization and within your industry. And there's also 90 billion content impressions on LinkedIn feed. So whether you're creating content or engaging with post online on the LinkedIn platform, it's a great way to kind of increase the visibility for professionals and for the organization. So the more that you engage, the more likely those certain pieces are going to be shown to more people within your network and people within the organization's network. So I know it's not in person, but show of hands, feel free to comment in the chat. How many people have an active LinkedIn profile currently? Awesome. How many are you actively posting on LinkedIn? Meaning whether you are creating content yourself, sharing your organization's content. Well, don't worry. If you're not alone. There's about 64% of people on LinkedIn who will consume the content, meaning they're just going to scroll, look at the feed, but not actually engage with it. And when we talk about engagement, it's, liking something, commenting on something, resharing it, just resharing the post without any commentary or sharing the post with commentary. These are typically what we call LinkedIn lurkers. They are important, but it's really good to, kind of branch out of that LinkedIn lurkers shell and move into more of the active presence.
What do you mean by active?
So active would be, again, sharing content, your own content. So that's whether, creating a post yourself, or if you're going to reshare someone else's post, like that post, comment on that post. Again, you can, there's two ways that you can share post on LinkedIn, and that's either just reposting without commentary. So it's just going to get pushed to the top of your network's newsfeed. That way they're seeing the post, seeing that you reshared it, or you can share that post with commentary. So it's just an active way of trying to get on the newsfeed and have that presence.
Okay.
Of course. Now moving into navigating the profile. So when you're on LinkedIn, you're going to have what we call like the me section. So that's your profile view, making sure your privacy and settings are handled, whether that's, making sure your password's up to date, adjusting your site preferences. And if you ever need help, or if there's something you can't find, there is the little like support section, where we call it the help section, where you can kind of troubleshoot those issues. They have different forms where you can kind of be like, I'm having difficulty finding this, I need help with this. They have different articles that you can reference, or you can go in and talk with their support chat. And then it's also good to understand the difference between personal profiles and company pages. If you are active on LinkedIn, you probably already understand this, but if you're new or kind of getting more acclimated to the profile and the channel, there is a difference. So when we talk about a personal profile, this is going to be known as the member profile. So this is your personal hub. This is your digital representation of your professional network. Typically, we like to say LinkedIn, like your profile pages are like your digital resume. So this is where you can list out your experience, build your network, share and create content, and keep up with connections. And then if someone wants to learn more about you, they can simply just go to your profile. Company pages are different. So this is the page that's going to represent the entire organization on LinkedIn. So your business, your brand. So this is whether it's, again, a business, a school, nonprofit, institution. This is where someone can kind of go and learn more about your organization, who you are, how many employees you have, what you specialize in, kind of getting that digital profile. So examples would be, again, we can see Rob's on the right, where it's you see his connections. You can scroll down, see his activity of what he's been doing, his experience, and then on the right, you'll see the NECA profile. So that's, you can see their about section, go in and see their different posts that they have, if there's any job offerings, the people that work there, and any videos that they recently posted. So again, there's sometimes they can look similar, but it's trying to understand the difference between, all right, just a person versus a whole organization. And then also when you're in the LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn app, you want to make sure that you're building those connections. So building your professional network. There's a couple ways that you can do this. You can, one, sync your profile with your email address, and that way it'll kind of quickly pull in anyone that you have within that you have their emails of that might be connected to their LinkedIn profile to see if those quick connections can come up. You can quickly go and request to connect with them. You can also search for certain colleagues on the LinkedIn search bar at the top of the page. And you can also get into the habit of just, checking LinkedIn regularly, seeing if there's any connections that might be popping up on your news feed. Sometimes you'll also get the options to be like, you'll get notifications saying this person similar to your industry, this person similar or has X amount of mutual connections, so it might be a good fit. And then also just, once you follow up with those connections, just sending a message, thanking them, and then also being able to connect that way. More ways you can connect on the, not just connecting with people, but also just, staying connected within the app and staying up to date. You want to make sure that you'll have the LinkedIn app downloaded on your phone. It's a quick and easy way to kind of just hop into the app, see what's going on, scroll. And that will also kind of create that daily login rundown. So you can kind of, go in. We recommend you only really need to do maybe like 5 or 10 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be a heavy lift, but just an easy way to kind of go in, see what's happening, if there's any news that's been happening, anything new posted that you want to maybe share, or something that's coming up that you want to share with your network, and you can go in and create that post. You can also set up daily notifications that'll give you kind of reminders for what's happening within your network. If you want to get if you want to see the latest up to date, if someone's very active, they post frequently and you want to share their content, you can make sure to set up those notifications that anytime they post or share something, you'll get that. And that notification will come through, so you're seeing their post immediately. And you can also do this for certain organizations or different profiles. And then it's also just a good way to kind of, again, see what your network is engaging with. The nice thing about LinkedIn is when you're going on the platform and you're on the news feed, you can kind of see, sometimes you'll see so-and-so has reposted this, so-and-so liked this post, so-and-so comment on it. So you can kind of see what they're engaging with, and it might be relevant to things that you want to engage with and share as well. All right, now we're going to be moving into optimizing your profile. So this is going to take us through what you should be updating on your profile, either regularly, monthly, quarterly, depending on how frequently things need to be updated, and just things to look out for. So again, our profiles are what we like to say is our digital resume. So it's kind of moving away from just like that pen and paper listing your experience. This is an easy way for someone to kind of get a sense of who you are, what you've done, and what you specialize in. So the first things that come to your profile update are what we can kind of see at the top. So making sure you choose the right profile photo. A lot of people, sometimes it's easy to just kind of post something that has a lot of people in it. We want to make sure that the profile photo you're choosing represents you, is the most recent photo of you, and your face takes up at least 60% of it. That way someone coming to your profile knows who you are. So in case they know that they're meeting you in the recent months, and they're not confused on who you are. It's also good to kind of have that background photo, or what we sometimes call cover photos. This is something that can kind of like help make your profile stand out. We always recommend you kind of choose something that goes with your business brand. So if there's anything NECA branded that you have, whether it's something that the company has created or the logo, definitely have that, so someone coming to your profile knows that that's who you belong to, and that's what the brand that you are currently working with. Then you have your headline that's right under your name at the top. Most people just use this as just like kind of like listing like what their current job title is, but what we recommend is kind of having it be a little bit more about your role. Try to make it kind of like stand out to see who you are, what you do, and what makes you tick. And then we move into the about section, which is a chance to kind of tell your own story. Say what you've done, where you've come from, the different skills that you've mastered. And this is also another way to kind of make you stand out compared to other people, and why someone would want to work with you over someone else. Then we move into the professional experience. First, you want to make sure that you have your most current position listed. That's including the titles and also the other titles that you've maybe held within your current employer. So right now, just make sure that you have NECA as your current employer, and list the dates that you've been there for when you started, and then you would have present. Then you can also list your past positions. Make sure you do them in chronological order. But the nice thing with LinkedIn, when you do go and list them, depending on the dates, it's going to list on chronological order for you. So even if you are starting to list things and then realize, oh, I actually had this position before this one, once you put those dates in, LinkedIn's going to organize it for you. You can also add in any volunteer work that you've done or had in the past, and then also include different publications, projects, awards. If you've written anything, wrote any company blogs, received any awards recently, this is all good to kind of like keep in there, again, making your profile stand out. There's also sections for skills and endorsements. So LinkedIn has pre-existing skills that you can search through and select based on what represents or is very similar to your current role and experience. And then with the endorsements, it's nice that once you have these all listed, people who go to your profile or your connections that you are linked with can kind of endorse them for you. So if you have certain skills and someone's working with you, they can easily go and say, yes, you have, I endorse them for this skill and this one. And it's just a great way to kind of just validate your experience. And then also once people does this for you, or if you do this for them with the endorsements, it kind of triggers them to go back and be like, oh, it was great that Rob endorsed me for this. I'm going to go back to his profile and see what I can endorse him for, kind of returning the favor. Then there's the recommendation section. This would probably be considered more of like your professional references for a resume. So this is a great way where LinkedIn members can kind of recognize the work that you've done for them in the past, or you can give recognition to someone that you've worked with to kind of highlight them and then set them apart from the rest. you can you can request these recommendations to your first degree connections with people that you are currently working with or worked with in the past. It's an easy way once you go down the profile to kind of use the drop down section. Go ahead and select the person that you are either asking for a recommendation. So if someone was asking me for a recommendation, or if I was going in to ask them for a recommendation, you can include your relationship with them, the position at the time, and then make sure that you're when you are requesting a recommendation, make your message a little personal. Especially, this is a big, not that we think of it as a big ask, but it is taking the time for someone to, you know, sit down, write something thoughtful. So it's just nice to have that little personalization of why you're asking for a recommendation, or maybe if there's a specific reason why you're asking for it, just include that in your message. All right, now that we've kind of gone through how to optimize your profile, and once you get that kind of all set, your page is looking clean, you have everything you want to go. Now we're going to be going through and seeing how we can really start engaging on LinkedIn, how we can increase our active presence. So step one, if you're not following, the one thing we want to make sure is that we are following the NECA pages. So especially the NECA Penn-Del-Jersey and the overall official brand for NECA. Other pages you can follow that might be useful for the industry, just to kind of, you know, stay up to date with what's current, anything that's going on, especially these pages might include, you know, events or different conferences that you would want to be a part of or just be in the aware of. These ones are good ones to follow and just like stay up to date. Also, it's good to follow similar organizations within the industry because you can see what they're posting, because that might encourage you to kind of like figure out like what content maybe you can start sharing. 2, this is going back to getting more acclimated with the platform and getting on it daily. So making sure you're going in, whether you're logging in on your desktop or on your phone, and just scrolling through and seeing what you can like and engage with. So again, that's also, you can follow relevant hashtags, and in a few later slides, we're going to talk about certain hashtags you can start following and liking online. Making sure you're continuing to build up your professional network by sending those connections or accepting any connections that you've recently received. And then when we talk about engagement, again, it's going to be focusing on reacting, reposting, commenting, sharing, and sending. So reactions are what you can do by, you can like something, celebrate it, support. When you kind of hover over when it originally gives you just like the like button or it says react, and it'll give you different options. Most people just like things, but maybe if you're really into a certain post, or you're really proud of a certain post that went out, you can celebrate it, support it, or love it. With reposting, again, you can either just repost it without any commentary, and it's going to just display the original post, but be extended to your network, or you can share commentary. If there's something that maybe you're feeling really passionate about and you want to give a little bit more insight to your thoughts on it, definitely add that commentary. And then commenting is also great, just showing your support, or if you're wanting to like or if there's a post that went out that poses a question and you want to kind of like share your experience, go ahead for that. And then again, just sharing and then sending, maybe if you're just recently connected with someone and you want to send them a connection or send them a private message, that can kind of, you know, help to build up that connection. And then step 3 is making sure to engage with the NECA PDJ LinkedIn page. So to continue helping their presence grow on LinkedIn, like Rob said originally in the beginning, they went from 200 followers to about over 1,000 now, which is fantastic. Making sure to help their presence keep growing by engaging with the page. You can also invite your connections that like your professional connections that you have to like the page. This can be found under page options, and then just click invite connections, and then you can go ahead and see the people who are already engaging or have liked the page. and then send them a connection, a request to go ahead and for them to like the page as well. And then again, to help increase visibility, you want to continue to like, comment, and share their page updates and their page posts. So because of the LinkedIn algorithm, how they determine what posts get seen more is by engagement. So the more you engage with their content, the more it's going to be served to your professional network and extend the network and extend the reach. So when a post gets published, LinkedIn uses an algorithm where it's like within the first 2 to 3 hours, if depending on how many people have liked it, commented on it, or reposted it, it's going to determine how much it's going to continue to get post and extend the reach. And then when it comes to when you are drafting posts or you are like resharing something with commentary, making sure to still have that professional stance with your copy. Even though LinkedIn has definitely gotten more personal over the last several years, you still want to make sure you're drafting posts that if you're like, you have a prospective client or a prospect, or if your manager's going to see it, making sure it, grammar's correct, it's spelled, everything kind of like looks correct, it sounds professional, it doesn't sound like a 2-year-old wrote it. You want to make sure that all kind of like looks right. So when someone's coming across and seeing it, you look, you can kind of validate and you look in that professional aspect. And then step 4 is, creating content. Sometimes this is why we have it more towards the end of the steps, because this is the step that we're kind of working towards. We understand that creating content can seem a little daunting at times, but you want to, sharing content and creating content can be kind of like, it could be either creating original content where you're posting something that you were creating yourself, or you're sharing content, or you found maybe an article or blog post that you want to share, and you're just kind of saying like, hey, go check this out, it's a great read. But just a way to kind of build up your authenticity and make you look more personable. So when you're sharing this kind of content, you're being seen as valuable, you're being seen as someone, as an expert in the industry, and your content is worth being seen, or someone can kind of see you as the expert to be like, all right, like they always are providing great content, whether they're sharing something or they're creating original content for me to go to and look at and read or engage with, but you want to be seen as that expert within your network. And then with that comes posting on LinkedIn. So how to post. It's quick, it's easy, you can easily see it when you go to your home screen on the newsfeed. Up at the top, you'll see start a post. And this is where you can go ahead and add, photo, context, video, if you want to kind of, share a job that you are recently hiring for, or you're going to go ahead and write an article. But there's just definitely different ways that you can share a post. Again, we want to make sure that the caption is well written and thoughtful. Again, if there's any visuals that you want to include with it, if there is organizations or other people that you want to make sure that you're tagging within the post or mentioning, and then this will also help increase visibility. Also on LinkedIn, it's great to include at least 3 to 5 relevant hashtags in the post. This is going to help with the search visibility, especially as more people follow specific hashtags. They can easily click on this, and then your content will show up within their newsfeed. When it comes to tagging and mentioning someone in a post, all you have to do is simply, when you're typing in the caption, just type that @ symbol, and then start typing the name of the user of the business. And then you can see that the list of potential people or organizations will start populating, and you can just scroll and search for the specific one, the specific person or the business that you want to kind of include. Again, after you publish this, the person or organization who was tagged in your post is going to receive a notification that they were recently mentioned. And this is a great way because, again, it's going to spark them to kind of go back to your post, either comment, reshare it, like it, and then it's going to keep expanding that reach and then reach their audience network as well. And then just some content thought starters on what to post. Again, sometimes it can seem daunting of what should I share on LinkedIn? What can I share on LinkedIn? Again, LinkedIn has become, over the last several years, a little bit more of a personal site too. Yes, we want to keep it professional, but some people are sharing personal experiences. So if there's anything that recently just happened in your life that you think is worth sharing, and you can kind of keep it at that professional level while being a little personal, definitely share it. Any career milestones, if you have professional expertise, again, the more you share, the more you're seen as an expert. So this is a great way to kind of, expand on that. If there's anything NECA related, any different conferences or events that are either coming up or you recently attended, this is a great time to share those events. And again, any industry news or trends that you're seeing that you think is worthwhile to share with your audience, definitely include that as well. And then also, it's always good if there's any hiring opportunities you have, share that with your network, because you never know who might see it and then know someone who they can redirect that opportunity to on LinkedIn. And then when it comes to writing engaging captions, just a couple tips that we kind of like to include and tell people. Keep it simple. Sometimes if you want to, stick to the plain text, just what is the point of your post? How is it going to benefit your connections? You can kind of go between, sometimes you can write longer captions and sometimes you want to keep them shorter, but it's always good to kind of the point of your caption and the point of your post. You want to kind of make that known in the beginning of the writing and not say that to the end, because sometimes people aren't going to keep reading if they don't know what you're talking about. They're like, what is the point of this? The nice thing about LinkedIn, again, kind of adding to that personal touch, is that they encourage emojis. Now, don't go overboard, keep it minimum, but if it makes sense, include an emoji here and there, because it sometimes will make the content a little bit more digestible and showing off your personality too. Again, going with the simple text and making sure your purpose is shown right away. Start with a killer headline. Make sure you have an opening statement that kind of entails what this is going to be about or what you're talking about. That way your connections will stop, pause, and continue reading. Also, it's sometimes nice to end with a question. Again, this will kind of help with engagement. So if you're proposing something or you're talking about something, and then you want to kind of get ideas or see what your audience is thinking about it too, or if they have any thoughts or opinions, end with that question. And that way it kind of will increase more people to comment on your post and then increase that post's visibility because it's getting that increased engagement. And then going back to making sure that you're including, 3 to 5 hashtags. Hashtags, help the visibility. They're great for the SEO purposes on LinkedIn, and they can kind of help connect people within your industry that might not be following you, but also might be interested in what you have to say on your post. And then it's also good to kind of have a mixture of ones that are a little bit more niche versus ones that are more relevant and general to the topic. And then moving into hashtags. So what is a hashtag? Simple as that. It's when you have the pound symbol and then you have a specific word or phrase afterwards without any spaces. And these are used on social sites to kind of help identify content on specific topics that they're relevant to. And then why should you be using hashtags? They act more as labels for your content, and they kind of help bring in more views, clicks, and connections. So again, helping to increase that visibility of the post and connecting with people who might be within the industry that the content would be relevant to them. And then best practices for using hashtags. It's really good to capitalize each word in the hashtag. Now, you don't want to have, obviously you don't use spaces in hashtags, but when you capitalize each word, it also helps to make these a little bit more easier to read, and also helps with accessibility purposes as well. So also avoid using long hashtags. It's good to kind of stick maybe 2 to 4 words at most, especially if you're trying to get people to use a specific hashtag. You don't want to have them too long because they sometimes don't always show up right, or people just don't want to type out really long hashtags. And then it's also good, don't bury your message with the hashtags, include them at the end. It's sometimes okay to start your post with a hashtag, but if you include them at the end, that way your copy is a little bit more legible and easier to read without like, blah, 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 hashtag this, hashtag that. Like have maybe one or two at the top and then include the other ones at the end. And then again, going back to maybe have a mix of both general and niche hashtags, including your post, depending on what you are writing about. And then these are just some recommended hashtags. These ones are definitely a mix of some niche, some general, but depending on your topic of conversations and what you're writing about, you can definitely like weave them into your copy. And then these are just some general do's and don'ts for posting. Again, some of these might be a little like obvious, especially for the don'ts, especially when it comes to discussing financials, don't comment on legal matters. But sometimes it's good to just have that refresher on what you want to be doing. That way it kind of helps direct the conversations and helps you to kind of craft your message and what you want to be posting online. And then moving into the key takeaways. So that's the presentation, but just a few things at the end of this, wanting to make sure you take away from this. First off, starter, to make sure to follow NECA online on the LinkedIn page. Make sure you're always putting your best foot forward. Again, kind of going into those, making sure your profile is updated regularly. If you have a recent new profile photo, if you just got a new position, if you have something that you want to share or adding skills, make sure you're updating that regularly as they come. Engage daily. Again, it doesn't have to be a heavy lift when it comes to engagement. You don't have to start off writing 5 new posts every week, but it could start with something small, just, liking, commenting, resharing with commentary, and just interacting with the different pages. And then you can move into more creating your own content. Don't be afraid of that. It does get easier over time the more you do it and the more you are involved on LinkedIn. But it's going to be the best way to create and foster those connections that you are creating on LinkedIn. And with that, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Shannon. I just wanted to add, since we had our presentation in January with you, the chapter's been actively posting daily, weekly. That's mainly because of Jenna Scarpello, our marketing coordinator here at the chapter. And we're also trying to increase our contractor engagement with our Member Monday campaign. So every Monday we'll post a project by one of our members and tag them in the post, and that increases their company engagement as well. So we encourage any contractor on this call today, please reach out to Jenna with your projects so we can highlight all the great work that you're doing out there. We really appreciate everything you do. And with that, everyone has the ability to unmute yourself. So please feel free to ask Shannon any question you may have.
Hi, Shannon. I'm Aloha Joe. I got a question. Is LinkedIn free? Because a lot of times I get that you have to get a premium package. And what would be the difference between having a regular profile and getting a premium profile?
So yes, LinkedIn is generally free. The premium is more if you want to, they have different features where you can like work with recruiters, or you can get LinkedIn learning classes. That's included with the premium, but for just standard LinkedIn, it is free. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is just sign up with your email and you'll start getting those notifications and can build out your connections.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't realize that this was going to be primarily to get us to pay more attention to the NECA Penn-Del-Jersey site. I thought this was going to be also to what advantages the whole LinkedIn would be of value to us. I've always looked at LinkedIn as just being something for looking for jobs, more or less for individual jobs. And you even mentioned it, about people updating their current job titles. I thought that's primarily what it was being used for. I see now you're trying to look at it for also getting contacts with new jobs, meaning for like construction jobs for us. But I found that LinkedIn is just another one of the social medias that was going to suck some of your time away. For example, since social media came along, I think I've been 25% less productive, 25% less net profits. And the social media, I'm best at working at that between 11 to 2 a.m. at night. You know, I did learn how to delay things, but I think it's a big a pressure cooker. You're suggesting that you be on that every day or every whatever, but you know, there's only so many hours in the day. Do most companies have an individual that'll be like a social media representation, like Shannon's becoming, or the mayor of Philadelphia one time spent $91,000 on his social media person? You know, how are people handling that type of shit?
So it depends on your team. So for us at Vault, there's 3 of us, but we kind of rotate that way. You know, some people are the ones handling it or handling the messaging, handling the comments. But we do take turns kind of depending on everyone's schedule because, yeah, we do know it is a big time and it can take up time, but it's also not knowing that it's trying to find that time wisely. So you don't have to get sucked into it. It's just knowing like, all right, I'm going to allot 5 minutes. I just want to quickly check things over, see what's happening. Also, what we do to kind of help save on time is if we're kind of creating posts or content, we're going to do that ahead of time. That way we can go ahead and schedule things. That way we're not having to go in every day and have that post. So kind of like what Rob was saying, they do the member post every Monday. So they might have those already kind of scheduled out or planned for the month. That way they're not having to go in every Monday exactly and get those out.
And I will add, Bruce, LinkedIn is a social media for companies. It's like your Facebooks and Instagrams, like what your guys are probably using out in the field. That's more on their personal side. And LinkedIn's a good opportunity for you to share some of the projects you're doing with your customers and highlighting them. And they may see that post and have a good feeling about working with Shelly Electric. So there's a twofold about LinkedIn. You have your personal profile and your company profile, and it does take work. And we're lucky to have Jenna here to do it for us, but it's definitely capable for you to do on your own, and put some time into it, and you might see some returns coming out of it as more projects may come to you.
Hey Shannon, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Mike McGuire with Line Company. They just started, and I've been heavy traffic with LinkedIn, getting a lot of acceptance. But what do you recommend as far as the private messaging portion of it? You know, I've really just tried to reach out to people that have accepted my my LinkedIn request. So, I mean, on the private message side, what kind of engagement would you recommend?
I think it depends on that, like what you're trying to increase with that connection. So if it's someone that maybe you're trying to increase business with, or sometimes it's just a nice set of habit instead of just like sending someone a request, just like you send that message with them being like, hey, I met you at so and so, or I met you here. That way they can kind of connect dots, be like, oh yeah, I remember meeting Mike here, like at this conference or this event or this showing. But it's just like kind of like a good way, again, to kind of help create that like good feeling of, especially if you're trying to connect with someone on that business side and maybe get them as a customer, just to kind of show them that little bit more personal side, to be like, we got you covered, like I'm here for you. But it does go based on like every situation is different.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like using those like feelers to be like, is this appropriate to do it at this time, or should I wait, or this is a good time to just like send them like a personal message or a private message.
Thanks.
Hi, Shannon. This is Valerie Cofield at Car and Duff. I'd like to weigh in on a couple of the questions. So I'm a super LinkedIn user. I have over 2,000 connections and over 2,000 followers. LinkedIn has really, I'll take Car and Duff out of the equation, but in my previous life, LinkedIn was a tool that allowed me to connect to a lot of people across a lot of different industries, for the purposes of amplifying message and subject matter expert capabilities, which has translated into business, you know, both in my previous life, but also for Car and Duff, in my role at Car and Duff. So I think that as you use your LinkedIn, it's really meant, it's not Facebook, it's not meant to be a social gathering. It is really a professional networking space. It's a learning platform. And then as for your business, it's a business development tool. So how you use it for your business is really amplifying what it is that you do in the market, how you bring value to the market, where you're the subject matter expert, how you're a differentiator, right? So that's for the business side. And if you can get that out and communicate it clearly and concisely to your industry and to your potential customers, you can really leverage LinkedIn in a positive way, because it allows you to reach people that may not have your business on the radar currently, right? And so now you're having a different level of discussion. On the personal side, it allows you to be a thought leader. So now, even if you're not making a connection through your business, as a thought leader, people are reaching out to you and tapping into you. Now, I'll tell you, the most annoying thing I get is I get so many solicitations from people that want to sell me lists, our financial planners, want to solve every technology problem that I have. So those are like the unsolicited, and you figure out how to block them. But overall, LinkedIn, if used properly, can really be a business development tool for you that is less expensive than hiring a business development person.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with all those points. Yeah, it is, again, it's, even though it is considered a social platform or social media platform, correct, it is not like Facebook or Instagram or all the other ones. It is, yes, some people do post personal things, but it is more of trying to be positioning yourself as a thought leadership in the industry that you're working with, or positioning your business and making sure that when people come and see it, they see your business as experts or a company that they want to work with.